All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bureau. My name is Sid, and today we're going to be watching one of the videos that were released during the whistleblower hearing on September 9th. Now, this video has been circulating the internet for quite a bit now, and everybody seems to be sharing their insights on what this could possibly be. But today I wanted to share my point of view on this video because it's something that we haven't seen yet, and this just got declassified by the government, basically, for that hearing. But before we go frame by frame, let's go ahead and watch the video for a moment so we are all on the same page. And then we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive. So I'll play the clip right now. All right, cool. So now that we are all on the same page, let's go ahead and do the deep dive on this video. So on screen, you can see my editing software, and I've just imported the same footage you just saw. And I wanted to go through a couple of points here. Now, I've seen this video a couple of times before actually making this one because I wanted to note down the points and the interesting parts of this video. So right now you can see on screen here, this is the Hellfire missile that was shot from a MQ-9 Reaper drone. So the footage you're seeing is basically a thermal footage, and the missile that you're seeing incoming was shot from another MQ-9 Reaper drone. Now watch what happens when this thing impacts this aircraft or UAP, whatever you want to call it. Look what happens right now. As the Hellfire missile approaches the craft and hits the target, it basically just bounces off. But immediately after that, there are kind of like three strange orbs that are not left behind, but being dragged by or pulled by this, let's call it UAP. And not just dragging or being pulled, but they seem to fly into formation. Let me go ahead and zoom in for a moment so you have a better view. Look what happens when this missile just impacts. There he goes, boom, bounces off. The aircraft seems to kind of like shape into a different form, but immediately recovers and drops these three orbs that you can see on screen. Now, here is an important point of this missile. There are two variants of this missile. You would think that upon an impact there will be an explosion, and that's true if the warhead would contain explosives, but this version seems to be the R9X Ninja version, which is basically just a kinetic blade missile, which is meant to impact and shred or rip apart the structure of the vehicle. Whatever it is, an aircraft or a ground vehicle, it will basically leave it, non-usable. However, this thing just bounces off, drops these three orbs, and continues its trajectory. Again, this is a thermal footage, so if this would be an explosive missile, you would see at least some fireball or a heat signature, which you can see here. Now, going further, You can see here as it keeps moving and flying over the ocean, there's a fourth kind of orb showing up, and then a fifth kind of one right here, which is basically hard to see, but it is there. However, I don't know if this is an orb. It could just be the reflection of, one of these orbs, mainly this one right here, because this UAP is flying very close to the surface of the ocean. So that could be either just a heat signature or a reflection of one of these orbs. However, if you continue watching, you see that it goes out of frame, and then the drone basically recovers the footage. And you can see it right here before it ends the footage. Now, there appears to be a longer version of this video that has not been declassified yet, and this might be for good reasons. If the impact of the missile on this aircraft actually did some damage, that would mean that this aircraft actually crashed into the ocean. And obviously, obviously, I mean, it's the government, right? They don't want you to know that they actually took down a UAP and that they recovered this aircraft and now or are in possession of, alien technology. Because if that would be the case, imagine China and Russia fighting over each other to get a piece of this thing or whatever it is, or at least a look at it. If you were wondering why they choose a R9X Ninja Hellfire missile instead of an explosive one, well, imagine that this thing is basically, let's call it alien technology, right? You don't want that thing to be non-usable upon impact of the missile. If this would have been an explosive missile, it could pretty much leave the whole aircraft, unusable with no trace of technology behind it, because the explosion would basically just destroy everything. It would make sense that you would send a missile that is just made to shred apart and basically destroy the structure of the aircraft, so that in case it crashes into the ocean, you can recover it and therefore recover the technology, or at least enough so that you can or could analyze the technology of whatever this thing is. So I, for one, have no clue of what this is. These three orbs right here, after the impact of the missile, immediately seem to kind of just fly in a triangular formation, which might indicate that either they have some sort of intelligence of its own to be able to fly alone, or is being pulled or dragged by some, sort of mechanism or physics. Think of it like a super powerful electromagnetic field to prevent the loss of technology, right? Now, I've heard recently that there are some speculations that this may be a balloon. Now, first of all, if that would be a balloon, that thing must have a jet attached to it, because this thing is flying at immense speed. I mean, there's no balloon could ever fly at this speed. And the reason why they're saying that it could be a possible balloon is because how the Hellfire missile bounces off upon impact. But remember, this is a kinetic ninja missile, so it has blades. Now, I'll share an image of the missile right here so you can see this missile, once it's deployed, it extends these blades. This is why it's called a ninja missile. It extends these blades, and these blades basically just rip and shred apart whatever the object is. And if this would be a balloon, this balloon would be non-existent after the impact of this missile. So, from my perspective, that's definitely not it, because it looks like it's a hard surface. You can see how it impacts. Upon the impact of the missile, you can see how this craft kind of like reacts to the impact, but then recovers and continues flying towards its trajectory. So it's super weird, the behavior of this, and there is no human technology that could achieve something like that. No way. Like, if that would be a normal plane, that will rip apart a wing or rip apart the aircraft in half or the fuselage, and that would go straight into the ocean. Not even thinking it twice. But this thing just keeps on flying. Like, I have no explanation for this. And then like these three orbs, like what's with these orbs? I mean, it's almost like this thing has some sort of a prevention mechanism to avoid technology loss. Now, it came while I was watching this, right, a couple of times, it came to my mind that what if they actually allowed the missile to impact this aircraft intentionally, just to kind of like say, hey, your weapons have no effect on our technology. Shoot whatever you want at us. It's not going to work. It's not going to affect us. Because you would think, like, if this is alien technology, if this isn't actually UAP or UFO, call it what you want, whatever you want, they would have the technology to see this missile coming from 100 miles away, right? But they basically kind of like, just like, oh, here's a missile coming, boom, there you go, I'll keep flying. So maybe it was intentional, or maybe it didn't notice. Maybe this is not even maybe it's just some sort of a probe, right? Maybe it doesn't have any defense mechanisms of any type. I don't know, super weird. But yeah, I mean, these are my points. This is what I see right now. Going through this, it's super weird. Some kind of a structure or control system way beyond what we use. See, after impact, or I would say post-impact, it almost looks like it's instantly stabilizing itself, right? Like it's compensating for the hit in real time. There you go, boom, and recovers and keeps on flying. If that thing would have crashed into the ocean, I think by now, at this point, on this frame, you would see it going down. You would see it going down. These orbs that appear after the impact of the missile. Some people think they could be just pieces of the UAP being dragged. And that could be a possibility if this thing would have some sort of a loss prevention mechanism to prevent technology loss or pieces of it, so that we as humans wouldn't be able to recover it and study it. But if they were just fragments, I don't think they would be holding position like this. I mean, you can see immediately it's just triangular formation. Boom, there you go. Of course, they shift a little bit here and there, but super weird. I don't know. I mean, they either get pulled with it, or they have a control system of their own. That's the only thing that comes to my mind, because if these would be debris, they would just fall into the ocean. Honestly, like, the orbs are the most mysterious part of all of this, in fact. Well, I mean, what's a part of the, aircraft still being capable of flying after the impact of the missile. Don't get me wrong. But then these orbs, like, what the hell are these? So, yeah, my thoughts. The lack of an explosion actually fits with how some Hellfire missiles work. And again, I might believe this is a Ninja R9X Hellfire missile. Anyways, what do you think about these orbs? Debris or something entirely else? I don't know. I have no answer for you, but let me know in the comment section what you guys think about it. Drop your thoughts in the comment section, because this one, this one really needs answers. And it makes you wonder, like, you know, if they just declassified this video, yeah, what else is the government hiding, right? What else do they have in their possession? Because this is the first time I see this video. Now, it could be that this video, you know, was released for a couple of years ago, but was still somewhat, you know, kept secret. In any case, for me, this is the first time I see this video, and I know that it's the first time we all see this video, because this video has been popping up all over the news and on social media. So it's not something that, you know, was released maybe a year ago and everybody saw it. No, this is something new and everybody's talking about it, like the hot topic right now. So yeah, let me know. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I'm interested to hear what you think about this. Thanks so much for watching, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.